Hello!
We're back.
We are back.
And I am Dorothy Mannine.
And I am Zach Cowan.
And we are Ginger Unscripted.
Your favorite podcast of two gingers, one real, one fake. We'll let you decide.
Who is who?
Can you guys tell we decided to start with the intro this time?
We're trying to be real podcasters.
We're trying
you
to
guys.
be real. You know, I keep getting emails from Spotify because we must be doing, not that we're like, you know, super successful or anything, but we did well enough that we're now on their email chain. So we get emails and they're like, how to get your podcast to 100,000. This new creator newsletter will help get you.
We made it, you guys.
And I'm like, leave me alone. I'm not giving you any money because I don't want to. What am I, made of money, Spotify?
Made of money.
How are you?
I am doing pretty dapper. I've been a sleepy girl lately, just like so EP all the time. But other than being EP, I'm happy.
Yeah.
How about
Napping
you?
with the cats?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. They tell me when to nap.
Biscuit doesn't, he will occasionally nap with me, but it's like he won't like your cats. Like if you lay down, they're going to smother you.
Yeah.
Biscuit, if I lay down and I'm lucky, he'll be like, oh, all right. I guess I could lay here with you. But he does like to lay with me like at night if I do not move a muscle. So I have not been sleeping well because I'm like sandwiched at night.
Yeah.
That's not
I know
good.
you can't disturb the peace for fear they will leave.
He was so cute this morning, though. I was like petting him, and he like went and stretched and like left his paw on me. And I know you get that all the time, but like Biscuit is very reserved.
Yes, no, I understand.
He likes to like he likes to be near, but not necessarily touching.
Mm-hmm. Now you got to cherish it when you get it.
Yep, exactly. Well, welcome back, everybody.
Yes.
When was our last episode? I feel like we were doing pretty good at staying punctual, and then I went out of town.
But I feel like it's still
We're
not
still
too
within
bad.
a month. Yeah. We're on
It's
episode
like
6.
Are we?
Feels like we should be in the double digits by now.
It does it?
Does it?
I don't know.
Like, I feel like we've been doing this for so long, but 6 episodes does not
It's
seem like
been
a lot.
A year and 6 episodes.
Yeah, especially because our episodes are now an hour, so it's really only 6 hours worth of content over the course of a whole year.
We got to keep you guys wanting more, obviously.
We're scarcity, supply and demand. Economics. You know, I had an economics class in college.
Yeah.
And my college, I went to San Francisco State University. Go Gators.
Okay.
It was so populated. Like every class, especially those like lower level ones, had like 200-300 people in it. Mm-hmm. So naturally, I just wouldn't give a fuck. But I really liked this guy. But I was so busy. Like I was doing all the theater stuff and the business stuff. So I was always coming in late. But I loved it when you like had a professor that just like understood that like, hey, like none of this really matters. Like you're gonna do your best. So I would just walk in late, and I think the whole class hated me because I would walk in late, sit down right in the front, like take all my stuff out. I was kind of loud, and he didn't care. He'd like wave at me, whatever. Yeah. And then I would just start answering like questions, and people just absolutely hated me. But I remember we used to draw little supply and demand little charts.
Oh.
That was a totally random anecdote.
That was a great story.
So if you're in college or you're thinking about going to college, you know, don't worry about it. You can do whatever you want. Just, you know, when you do show up, though, give 110%.
Yeah.
And I promise you, most of the professors will be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't advise being late, though, if you go to an art school like I did. They don't like that.
Or if you have like a crazy professor. This was a lower level economics class. And I did well on tests, so he gave me some leeway because I think most people just were like, because you know there's like a couple different types of like college students. Yeah. There's the people that take it so seriously that they're at every single class, they're reading every single thing, they're doing every single note, whatever, but they're not actually like learning. They're more, I think, absorbed in like the dance of academia, like getting a good grade. Like, what's more important? Like, I'll ask you this: like, would you rather attend a class and you get a C, but you genuinely learn things that you'll keep with you for the rest of your life, or you get an A, but as soon as you submit your final, all that information, all those weeks are just gone?
I think we're trained in a system that just praises like the better grade rather than absorbing it way better. So most of us just expect to do that. But I mean, I would rather retain it.
Yeah, totally. Well, if you're at home listening and you thrive on academic validation and you're really mad right now, I'm sorry. You're doing very good. A++.
Like you were a teacher's pet?
Yeah, I'm sure I was, especially like in like middle school or high school.
Yeah.
But I would only become a teacher's pet with people when they let me get away with anything. And I feel like that's a different type of teacher's pet as opposed to like the annoying tattling on people or the teacher's cool with me. So I'm fuck everything.
Yeah.
That's what kind of, does that still count? I think it still counts.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think I was always like anytime I was in school, I was definitely
anytime you could be.
But it was more so because like my grades were always really good and I was really nice and I was really like I always just gave them even if I literally was not listening to anything they were saying, I would just be like, yeah. And then they let me get away with so much more. Like I would sleep in class. I would, not advising any of you to do this, but they're far more forgiving when you seem like you're always this like amazing, wonderful student. Then they let you get away with a lot more.
What are some other tips we can give people for how to succeed in academics and subtly manipulate their teachers? Because I agree. It's like you don't necessarily have to answer every question, but when it's hitting that lull, and like people don't want to answer, that's when you step up. Save your teachers, become part of the solution, and then they'll get you back. You missed an assignment or whatever, like they'll let you make it up.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of teachers just like it when you actually just at least look like you're engaged, even if you're not.
Pretend
and you're just
like
mindlessly
they're very,
nodding
very interesting.
Away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what we should do one day is we should eventually get this. So just for those of you that I guess are listening, the way that the setup is we have our camera here, and then Dorothy's like screens are down here, and this is where all our information is. Like this is where I'm checking the levels of the mic. This is where we're checking if we're in focus or not. So one day we should get this screen up there so we can watch ourselves, and it looks like we're being engaged. Because I'll look at these back. And I was telling Dorothy this, like I'm in voice mode right now, so I'm more so focused on how we're sounding rather than we're looking.
Yeah.
But I go back and I watch it, and I'm constantly looking down. Every 10 seconds, I'm like, I have like an oral fixation. I'm like drinking my thing. I'm touching my hair, and I'm like, if this was an audition or a scene right now, I would flame myself.
I feel like though when you watch most podcasts, like it's usually just people talking facing each other.
Yeah.
And so they're doing all of those things anyways as they're talking most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it depends.
Yeah.
On the pod.
On the pod.
On the pod.
Should we jump into viewer comments?
Yes.
Or we did the intro, but we forgot to do the second thing, which is pretending like this is someone's first ever podcast or with us.
Yeah.
So should we tell them a little bit what we're about?
We chat as friends.
Yeah. We hang out.
That's pretty much.
I think that covers it. Viewers comment.
So, Gabby Telfer.
Oh, we know you, Gabby.
We do know Gabby.
We know you, Gabby.
Said, what is a superstition you believe in? Like, you don't walk under a ladder, throw salt over your shoulder when you're cooking. Something like that.
Does karma count as a superstition, or is that just like a philosophical belief?
Good question.
Because I do believe karma is real.
Tell us.
And all of you out there who have wronged me,
you're gonna get
it's coming for you.
I'm gonna bite you.
Not from me, but from Mr. and Mrs. Universe 2024.
Brace yourself.
Yeah. Actual superstitions, though, I do knock on wood.
Oh?
And when there's no wood around, I knock on my wood. Yeah, sorry.
No.
But it's a true thing. I actually just did it yesterday. But I do knock on wood.
I don't want to ask this question, but does that also apply when you're not,
Yeah. Yeah, when I'm not. Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I just consider the whole area wood, even if I'm not, at full attention. But like I'm driving my car and someone says something superstitious and I'm like, I got to knock on wood, but I don't have a fancy car with like wood paneling. So I get a little knock. All
right.
What about you? Superstition?
All
right. Also, we're matching again today.
We are.
Yeah.
Do you guys like the matching? I told Zach we definitely look like we're selling something to you door to door.
Yeah, we're selling you some type of religious paraphernalia.
Something religious. Definitely giving religious.
Especially if I went like full button.
Yeah.
Up.
Oh yeah. All the way top of the collar.
This is
yeah.
One of my typecasts is like the unsuspecting nerdy person who then
unsuspecting,
murders you and or assaults you in some way. Did I tell you about this audition I had the other day where it was no lines, which we love that.
We do.
But the character is very important because he trigger warning, he grapes somebody, like the female protagonist. And I'm just like, man, I get a lot of grapists.
Yeah.
I get a lot of Nazis.
You just look like a weirdo.
And I get a lot of, I guess so. And I get a lot of like just druggy kind of people, whatever.
Yeah.
I can't win. When my hair's short, it's clean cut Nazi grapist. When it's long, it's like, you do drugs.
You're just a bad guy all around.
I had an acting coach that once told me, like, we play our opposites very, very well. And maybe I just cling to that because I'm like, I'm not a bad person, but I play bad people.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like that rings true. It's always the people that are always, like, their characters and brands are super polished and nice guy and whatever. Yeah. They're always the ones that turn out to be weird.
Yeah.
The Cosbys of the world.
Yeah, I mean, I can attest to pretty much the same thing. I only play bitches. Yeah. I only play the mistress.
But that's just
it's
that's just on brand for you.
I mean,
that's like very easy for you to do because it's like your everyday.
Are you saying I'm a bitch?
I was trying to make the joke, but then
Anyways, do I have any superstitions?
No. You're one of the nicest, most supportive people I've ever met.
Thank you. It's okay.
But if someone wrongs you, okay, tell us your superstition.
I actually don't. I wouldn't call it a superstition, but I just believe that whatever you believe will be what you end up seeing to be true.
Unicorns?
Yeah. Also those. But like, I feel like, because what we think about is usually just kind of what shows up for us repetitively.
The lens in which we view the world.
Yeah. If you feel like doing something will bring you bad luck and then like you happen to do it and you're like, oh my gosh, then I feel like you will then attract it because that's all you're looking for. But as far as superstitions, like I don't really believe in any, but my mom, when she heard I was getting, and hi mom, because you're watching, when she heard I was getting a black cat, she was like, oh no, girl. Oh no. But
they are crazy.
They're crazy, but
have they brought you bad luck?
No, they've brought me only blessings.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, other than torn up shoes, but I wouldn't consider that. I think that's just having a cat.
Since you have gotten them in your life, do you feel like you have acquired more blessings or more bad luck? Can't say.
I would say it's not been like a noticeable
change
since the day I got them. Like only terrible things have happened, and only good things. I think it's just been like a normal,
unrelated
period of life.
Yeah,
unrelated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my life's been downhill ever since I got that stupid cat.
Oh, and yours is orange. So what does that say?
He's the worst guy ever.
Poor Biscuit. Biscuit, if you're watching this, you can come here.
No, he actually.
You'll be safe here.
I have it's his norm. I'm one of the pet owners that like verbally abuses his pets, like in a loving way. But I'm like, oh, you're such a stupid piece of shit, you know. But because he doesn't speak English, he doesn't know what I'm saying, and because that's the way I've spoken to him since he was a kid, he actually thinks it's affection. So, like, when he's being shy or people around him, he's being scared, I start yelling at him, and then he's like, oh, everything's okay. So I'm like, why you being so freaking scared? Why you being a little, whatever? And then he's like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I am okay. But if someone were to be like, oh, it's okay, you're doing so good, he'd be like, I'm wigged out right now. I'm scared.
Interesting. So I have a question for you. If you feel like you ever have kids one day.
No, I'll be better.
Do you feel like you have to? No, I'm not saying to the kids. I would hope you would be better. But,
why are you doing so bad in school, you stupid mother effer? Yeah, you'll never be anything.
Biscuit is still around. Are you still going to talk to Biscuit like that in front of the kids?
Yeah, we'll all gang up on him. Whole family. Well, because it's in his mind. That's like, it means love, like that's because he doesn't understand.
Right.
But he likes being yelled at. Something you and him have in common.
I like being yelled at?
I was just making a joke about Lizelle.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate,
before. Baldur's?
Baldur's.
Why have I been saying Baldur's?
Because that is fancy.
Baldur's.
Baldur Gate.
Baldur's Gate does not sound nearly as
European.
Balduar.
But you were talking about Lizelle, who is like a strong female mean character in the game.
Yeah, I'm romancing her in this game. Yeah. And she was very mean to me, so naturally I selected her as my lover.
What does it mean when you enjoy someone being mean to you, like degrading you? It's like, it's not exactly... I always am hesitant to cuss, but we curse. It's not a cuck, right? When you enjoy someone being mean to you, but there's like a term for it, right? When you like romantically enjoy like...
Yeah, it is. But I actually don't like that, like in real life.
Just in your role play.
Just in fiction worlds.
Got it.
Yes.
So if you're reading like a smutty book, you'd be attracted to the character. That was like
mean. I'm intrigued by a kind of like enemies to lovers trope.
Sure. Okay.
But in real life, if you are mean to me, I will hate you forever.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Like I love banter and sass and stuff, but like I think there's a clear line between like well-intentioned roasting and someone who's just mean-spirited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, you called me a bitch before.
Yeah. So I started that joke and I was like, this is not even that funny. So I'm sorry.
Apology accepted. Carrying on.
Yeah.
I have a question that attests to this very moment. Chesley wants to know how to properly extend an olive branch to a friendship after a fallout. Is there a certain window of time to do it, or any tips, advice on that?
I just saw a TikTok that is essentially the same question, but like romantically, and it was like a guy, and he was like sitting in his car, as all TikToks are, and it's like, hey, like question, like, how do you reach out, like when you fumbled the bag with somebody who was everything you wanted, and after time you realize just how terrible your mistake is, like how can you appropriately like reach out again? And all the comments were just like, are people, I have to assume, who had been hurt in the past and we're just destroying this guy. Like the top comment was like, you fucked up, dude. You never you let them find someone better who will not treat them that way. And it was just this whole slew of comments.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you asked this question, because I was like, is no one going to give this like guy
like
actual advice?
Yeah.
So my advice would be, whether it's, if we're just talking platonically, just go for it. Just be authentic. Like, especially if you have wronged them, just reach out and be like, hey, like I just want to say, like, I was thinking of you. Like, I've been having some like thoughts over how we ended things, and like I was hoping to apologize or like mend fences or whatever. Now, if there's someone that has wronged you, but like you want to extend the olive branch, I think you should still do the same thing. It just comes down to a question of like, do you need anything from them? And if the answer is no, you could just say, hey, how are you? It's been a while. If you do need something from them, then I think you kind of need to like be a little bit more delicate with it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you said. To answer their question too, I don't think there's necessarily like a specific amount of allotted time, because it really depends on,
I think
like,
it could be years and years later.
Yeah, it could be weeks, it really just depends on like what happened in the person, how they feel and whatnot. But I think what's most important above all is like your transparency and your acknowledgement of the situation in its full light. So like whether you're responsible or they're responsible, like you go in with the full understanding of all of that, and you don't try to like sugarcoat this new introduction. Like kind of treat it, in a gentle way, and have no expectations, I think is important too, of how they might react.
Yeah, like, because this person may not want to be your friend anymore. So ask yourself if you'd be comfortable with that. Like, what would be the worst case scenario? Is that something you're comfortable with?
Yeah.
And then I guess like the last thing, touching on what you said too, is like, just make sure it's like for the right reasons. Yeah. Like I don't think we should be nurturing relationships out of a place of like loneliness or fear or anything like that. Like it should be because it's like, no, this is someone that like brings value to my life. I bring value to theirs. Like this is an authentic relationship. Like I want to keep pursuing that. And then also just make sure you're not playing any like stories in your head of like, oh, we're going to be friends again. And then they're going to apologize and they're going to do all these things and it's going to be great. And it's like, well, no, like you said, like don't have any expectations and like make sure you're meeting them where you're at and you're not secretly hoping that they'll do certain things the right way.
Yeah.
Good question, Chesley.
would you like to offer in some of your
questions,
material, good sir?
Yeah, mine are all just like random, funny
We love
little
random
questions.
Throw them in.
What do you think oldies radio will be like in like 30 years?
Oh my gosh.
Will any of like our random meme songs be on there? Like I'm thinking anything by like LMAFO or like Black Eyed Peas. I mean, a few of their songs are already like classic, but like Gangnam Style, anything like that. Like what do you think? Do you think literally we'll turn on oldies radio and it'll be like boots with the fur, with the fur, you know, and we'll be like in our nursing home being like, what y'all know about this?
I think anything that was circulating popular on the radio will become an oldie on the radio, no matter what it is. But I think obviously like different stations will play like different, you know, all the hip hop beats from back in the day, and it's like, you know,
Justin Timberlake.
Oh, that's not where I would have went with hip hop beats. I was thinking more like Migos, you know. But
what will happen to like what is oldies now? What will happen to like the Presleys and the Sinatras and stuff? Will they still be called oldies?
It'll
or
be
will
called
they be
ancient. No.
Ancienties? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll all. I don't know. It'll all.
Will classic rock ever change?
It's interesting. It's an interesting question because really, you know, we're only the oldies even we have now was still. Recorded music was still very fresh.
Yeah, within like the last 100 years.
We haven't experienced what it will be like to have oldies be old, and if it'll still stay relevant. But I do think, and I guess we haven't seen enough time of this, but everything ends up recirculating, even like fashion trends and stuff too. So
yeah, that mullets and mustaches.
Yeah. But I wonder too, because like if by the time it's oldies, all the people who know those are dead, so they stop playing them, and then they just do the oldies, which is now what we grew up with.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think of something from like the early '90s, like that's 30 years ago. So.
Sorry, I have to tell you. I started Singles Inferno.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did.
What episode are you on?
I'm obsessed. I don't know. I have like 4 episodes left, so I'm like.
You've been working. I saw. So for context, I saw Dorothy on when? Sunday?
A few days ago.
Yeah. A few days ago. And then we were like talking about like podcasts and stuff and whatever, and we were like, you got to watch Singles Inferno.
I guess I hadn't said it since then. Yeah.
Hadn't said what?
I hadn't watched it. I mean. Since I saw you that day.
Yeah, so it's been
you've seen like the whole season.
Yeah, because how many? There's a good amount of episodes,
and they're like an hour and a half long each episode.
Who is your favorite so far? So I'm glad we can finally talk about this. So Singles Inferno is a Korean dating show on Netflix, and I think there's like 2 or 3 seasons. And I've only seen the most recent. And you guys, if you listen to this, I've been trying to get her to watch it.
Yes.
So now we can talk about it.
Yes.
So who are you delighted by, or who's your favorite?
Yeah. Well, my favorite thing about the show in general is I love how culturally it's so different.
Yeah. No, there's no kissing. There's none of that.
Oh my gosh.
There's none of that.
Then I've been saying this like on, you know, American dating shows and stuff, like within 5 minutes.
They're freaking sluts.
Meeting each other. They're like, their tongues
Sorry
are
to
shoved down
slut
each
shame,
other.
but
like,
you kind of are.
You know? But
because I know it's not authentic. I know you're doing it for the money. If you were being a slut for love, it's okay. But if you come on there wanting to be a reality TV show and you just start, you know, wing-dinging, then you don't got a plus in my book. You got a big old minus. Sorry, please continue.
Wing-dinging.
Wing-dinging, gibbing, gabbing. Somebody started a document of all of the terms that we coin on this. And Dorothy will give you a prize if you do this, and it gets to 100 phrases.
Yes, I will. Thank you for volunteering me.
And it may or may not be her antique collection of stamps.
Now you're just lying to the people.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a weird. I'm in a weird place.
You are in a funky mood today, but we love it.
It was the street sweeping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, the culture difference is major. Something like them. Like touching hands for 2 seconds is like, oh my gosh, hot, spicy moment between the two. So I just love that. Honestly, I find it way more entertaining than what we see with all the like sex dating shows and everything. Yeah, I mean, to no surprise, my favorite guy on the show is the one that's like the most, who's like the
buff
one. Yeah,
yeah.
that has
What's
the
his
more
name
like
again?
manly demeanor.
Yeah.
Jin
something maybe? Jin Woo? No.
No.
But he's the cafe owner.
Yes.
He's the guy who was like just interested in that one girl, but then she like,
and then the new girl came in halfway through. Yes.
Oh my God, what do you think of the new girl who came in halfway through?
I like her vibes.
Okay.
You know, she came in pretty recent for me, like an episode or two ago.
Who's your favorite lady? So you like the bodybuilder cafe owner guy?
Yeah, I like just his demeanor the most.
And he was, what I liked about him is he was like, he found like one girl right at the start, and he's like, "Hey,
this is
I'm all about you."
Yep.
But she was like, "I kind of want to play the field," so she kind of gave him like kind of wishy-washy kind of vibes. So then he's like, "All right, well, I guess I'll like go do something else."
And then she's all mad.
She immediately regretted it.
Ridiculous.
There's a little bit of emotional immaturity from some of the different contestants.
Yeah.
But there are some contestants
especially.
that have so much emotional maturity.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite lady?
Favorite lady? I think is the one that I'm so terrible with remembering any of their names.
Me too. I had nicknames for all of them.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I guess
the one that's really sassy, and her
Yes.
and the guy were really
Guan
sassy
Hee
together.
or whatever?
Yeah, Guan Hee.
Yeah.
They were really sassy together, but then she kind of like whatever. But yeah,
I think they
just
went
love
on
her.
Paradise together like the second time or something.
Yeah.
Because he went with. See, I only had nicknames for all these people, so I was calling her Banter Girl because she had really good banter.
Yeah.
And then the girl that he went to Paradise with the very first, I think her name starts with an H, but I was calling her Yosemite Girl because on the first day she was wearing a Yosemite tank top. And then we referred to, I think his name was like Guan Hee or something.
Yeah.
He was douchebag guy the whole season.
He was douchey right off the bat.
So check out Singles Inferno so that you can understand what we're talking about.
No, highly recommend, honestly. And I'm very pick and choosy with reality. I don't love most of it. And when I first started it, I don't think you told me that it was a Korean dating show. You were just like, it's this dating show. Oh, I don't remember that.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
But you know, it's like a mix of like Survivor and a dating show, sort of.
And the whole premise is they're all on this island, Inferno. And they're not really given that many like luxuries. Like they sleep like 4 to a room.
Yeah.
And the rules are you're not allowed to have any like in-depth conversations with any of the contestants. Like no last names, no deep talks, like just surface level stuff. But then if you win one of the contests, you get to go to Paradise, which is like a resort, and you get to choose another contestant to go with you. And then you're allowed to talk to whatever. So it's like those are kind of like the dates.
Yeah.
But I think the whole thing is only like a week long. Like I think the whole process, which really puts into context because like we watch it over the course of like months, and we're like, how dare you treat this person like this? But it's like, oh no, you really just Have you gotten to any of the like helicopter stuff yet?
Like them just riding in there?
Yeah, and there's like some like moments with some contestants that are like not going to Paradise with each other, but they're still like interacting in the helicopter, and there was like some stuff.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay, you'll get it. All right,
okay.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, but definitely give it, if you enjoy any sort of like reality dating shows at all.
Yeah, and even if you don't.
Great.
Because I was anti-reality before I watched this. I was like, but it turns out I just hate like Western ones because it's like they seem fake. They seem like they're just trying to like build a reality.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, it seems way more authentic.
It does.
On this, like their interactions with each other seem 1,000 times more
authentic. They really do.
Than most of the.
Is there anyone that you like dislike that like whenever they come up you're like, oh my god, this one again?
I feel like honestly, even the ones I disliked, they kind of warmed up to me. A bit. Like Guan Hee, he immediately I was like, he's gonna piss me off.
And I don't know why he was. I couldn't figure it out because it's like it was like the love triangle guy. Like out of everybody there, like most people for the most part have like one person, maybe two, whatever. This guy is like left and right,
4 girls.
left and right, yeah. And it'll be a good conclusion. But I also really like the hosts of the show.
Yeah.
So the way it's set up is they have a couple different hosts that are watching the episode and commenting live, and they also have like previous contestants.
Yeah.
But there's that one guy, I think also an H name. We're butchering all this.
I know.
But he, if you remember, like very early on, he got like all the candies from like the girls. Yeah. And then I thought he was gonna like, do something with that or whatever. But then he just proceeds to totally fumble it, goes and walks off on his own. you know, and then is like trying to like be subtle with girls and being like, oh, like if the guy you gave a candy to asked you out, would you say yes? And it's so funny because it turns out you find out after the show who these people are. He's like a very famous, successful actor in Korea. Yes, I see him on TikTok now, and he's like being his beautiful self and stuff. And I'm like, dang it. But apparently, people are kind of like they're a little familiar with each other. So that guy, the douchebag guy, whatever, he's like a famous basketball player.
Yeah.
And I think his parents are very wealthy too. You guys can correct us.
Also, I love how the girls are just like wearing like Louis Vuitton earrings and Chanel dress, and this is stuff, and this is what they're wearing like on a stranded island.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so my vibe.
Yeah.
I love it. Anyways, we should carry on.
Yeah,
but you should totally watch the show.
Yeah,
you person who's
and we'll
watching / listening.
Probably by the time we get to the next episode, you will have finished it.
Oh, 100%.
So we can do a debrief.
Yes. Shall I?
Yeah.
Check Yes Ashley asked, do you have a bucket list?
Not like a formal written out one.
Do you have like a mental one?
Yeah, I have a couple things that I want to do. Do you have a bucket list written out?
So
tucked away?
Funny enough, when I was 16, I took bucket lists really seriously. And I have one where when I was 16, I wrote out like hundreds of detailed activities I wanted to complete before I perished. And some of them are really cool, like specific things in certain countries, like certain festivals that happen at a certain time of year in certain countries. And then some of them were like, kiss under fireworks. Yeah, literally fall in love. Yeah. Date someone for 6 months. You know, stupid stuff. Stupid 16-year-old stuff.
Yeah. Well, not stupid. It's just what was important to you at the time.
Right. Yeah. And I still reference it sometimes to just look at some of the cool things that I wrote down, but I don't actually.
Where is this bucket list written down?
It's somewhere.
Can we see it?
One of my. It's
next another time.
But yeah, perhaps.
Perhaps another time. Right. How much do you think percentage-wise have you completed?
Not. I mean, there's like hundreds and hundreds of things, so probably a very small percentage. But it's actually kind of fun. Like, I actually just got to highlight because I went over it fairly recently, and I don't actually keep up with like reviewing it. But I like checked off like go on a safari in Africa. It was like one of the things I had written, and I actually just did that. So
nice.
Like little things like that.
That was one of if you get around to it, Love on the Spectrum, which is the second one I was recommending to you. One of the like two like contestants that fell in love or whatever, like their dream date was like to go on a safari in Africa, and they went. They literally took these two like acoustic people to Africa and like drove around to like look at animals and stuff.
Highly recommend. Yeah. Would you like to?
Sure. My nonsensical questions.
Yes.
What will your last words be? And you better speak them right now.
Probably, because I'm gonna be immortal. So
yeah.
If I'm dying, it's probably because some enemy has discovered the one takedown to end me.
Your kryptonite.
So my final words would probably be like, "You motherfucker."
Oh, okay. Right on. How are you going to achieve immortality? Can you share
about it?
Oh, all right.
Well, that could be a private discussion.
Yeah, it's like I'll take my answer offline. Yeah, it's like we can't reveal that. You know, not everybody can be immortal. Okay, y'all have to die in order for other people to be immortal. Otherwise, it would just be life.
Overcrowded.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't know specifically, but I've always known that it will be some joke, bad or good. Like the last words that will come out of this mouth will be a joke for sure.
Yeah.
And I remember one time it was, that meme where it's like, oh my God, I love him so much. Like everything is a joke to him. And it's like 6 months later and it's like, everything's a joke to him. And it's like, that is me. And I remember one time I was like in a relationship where they're like, everything is just a joke to you. Like, that's all you want to do. That's the way. And I'm like, I could not have been more upfront that I am just a silly, silly person. And my whole objective in life is to laugh as much and make other people laugh. So I don't know exactly what the joke is. I think it will pop up in the spur of the moment.
Of course.
It might not be very funny, but I know that it will like leave me in like a racking laugh that turns into a cough that turns into like a death whisper. Oh. Just kind of like, there's the joke.
Oh.
Yeah,
All right.
That's how I want to go out.
Have you ever had like one thing you felt like like a fear of a way you might die, but not in a
like
sense
a premonition?
Not in the sense of like, oh, I would hate to die by this, but more just like, I've always had a weird feeling that a death this way could happen to me.
No.
You? That's good. I've always been like weirdly, and I don't know if I should like put this out in the air, but weirdly afraid of like combustion. Not me combusting, but
just burst into flames. Well, maybe the vampire is.
After my
immortality
700th
saga.
birthday, when I'm immortal, I'll just combust into ashes. But no, more so like things exploding
around
me,
you,
like cars or like ovens. Things like that always has been weirdly unsettling for me. I've also had a lot of nightmares about fire in my whole life, it's an ongoing
maybe
theme.
in a past life you burned to death.
Possible.
My mother's a big believer in like what's it called when
past
you
lives?
Yeah, what's it called when you resurrection, I guess? Or no, what's
reincarnation?
Reincarnation. And yeah, she believes that she was like a nun in a previous life and like drowned.
Oh.
And so she does not swim in this life.
Fascinating.
She'll like get in, but she won't like.
Your mom and my mom would have some great conversations because my mom has done many. I think they're called past life regressions, which is like you like go into.
My mom's like a big like
the
astral projector too, and like psychics. You guys can chat all.
Mom,
about it.
You're watching, so y'all need to have a chat. I'm sure it'd be very entertaining.
Yeah, similar, cut from the same cloth.
Yes. Oh, I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
Gabby asked us.
Another Gabby?
Actually, is it same Gabby? Same Gabby, but I think it's an older question that
Gabby,
we missed last time.
Come on.
Silly Gabby.
Tricks of the kids.
If you could go back and relive a happy moment for 5 minutes, what would it be?
Maybe getting my cat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other ones are not necessarily appropriate.
Oh?
Like maybe they're like college stories, something like that. Like I have some like good memories tucked away of like with good friends doing things we should not have been doing while we were young. I'm like, oh, 5 more minutes there? Yeah. Maybe. I'm sure once I like have kids and a wife and stuff, I'll have some more like wholesome answers. But I'm like, oh yeah, that one like beach festival with like my best friends in the whole world, and we were doing certain things,
Certain things,
shall
not be named.
Group therapy.
Okay.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. How about you?
It would probably be some, like I've had so many memories where I just felt my heart was like really full with my family or with my niece and things like that. So I know specifically, I think it was like my 16th birthday, my whole big family, all the cousins, aunts, uncles, we were all playing like apples to apples together.
Yeah.
And that was just like such a I was having so much fun. It's a cherished memory.
I have one memory of like watching Bruce Almighty of all things with my family, and I was probably like 8 or 10 or something, and I think I was like sick. So the more I kept laughing, the more I started coughing, and at one point I literally pissed myself from laughter. I was a little boy and like sick and stuff, and like I just couldn't control it. But like looking back, I'm like, yeah, that was probably like one of the few moments of just like pure, unadulterated, like unbridled, just joy, like bursting from me.
That's nice.
I like your answers better than mine. Good answers.
When I read the questions, it gives me a little bit of time.
A little bit of time. Yeah. Oh, you've been cheating. You were prepping.
Not intentional cheating.
Yeah, that's okay. That's even worse. Unintentional cheating.
Well,
at least mean it.
I know we talked about Gypsy Rose last night.
Yeah.
She's pregnant.
No. From that Fire D?
From the Fire D. So.
Wow.
A little update since we chatted about it last time.
Hopefully she breaks the cycle, because I'm told that these things are circular.
Yeah. Also, I guess she's like, people are trying to really cancel her on the internet now, which that's usually how these things go. It's like, woo, and then woo.
You're 15 minutes and all your fans quickly turn into haters.
Yeah. So I wish her the best, though, in navigating all that, because that's...
Yeah, good luck, Gypsy. If you want to come on the podcast,
we'd love to have you.
We'll put you right here. You don't have to match, but you can. That's for all future guests out there. I just want to lay that out. Like, you're welcome to match with us, but it's by no means a requirement.
Is it? Is it not?
Do you want it to be?
What if we required them?
Listen, anything you want to lay down as law, I won't even question.
All right.
I won't even judge.
You guys heard
just
you guys heard it here.
yeah.
I'll take a rain check on that.
I trust you with it. I trust you. I trust it to be funny. You know, I'm pretty comfortable with my friends, like, not exactly abusing me, but like putting me in situations that I wouldn't necessarily put myself if it is for the sake of comedy. Like if something ever happens, I'm like, dude, why'd you do that? And they're like, I thought it'd be funny. I'm like, well, if you thought it'd be funny, you did all you could. Right. Yeah, and maybe I should unpack that at a later date. Smells that you like that other people don't, like unconventional.
Gasoline.
It's mine too.
Yeah, it's so good.
But I know a lot of people feel that way. Put in the comments, do you also like gasoline, or does that make you feel weird?
Yeah, gasoline.
Why do we like it? Is it because we come from humble beginnings? Do you think? Yeah, I think of people like, not that you have to be like humble or poor or whatever, but there's like working with gasoline, or like someone in your family, like filling them up, putting them in the jugs, working with it, going camping, like having to carry your own gasoline places.
I don't think I've ever experienced.
No, you've never like been like off-roading or like camping, or like your car's stuck, or like even just like,
Nope.
Then when are you smelling gasoline?
Well, now that you ask it like that, I don't know. But I will tell you
just
one
when
time.
You're filling up and you get a lid on your fingers.
Getting a whiff.
Oh, yeah.
That's the good stuff.
That's the stuff.
No, I will tell you one time, though, I was filling up the tank. And this is why I always put it in the thing in my car now before pushing the button.
Yeah.
Because
just exploded on you?
I just unlatched it. I hadn't even pressed the button yet. And it started to... no, I unlatched, I pushed the button, and before I got to put it in my car, it started pouring out.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, and I was like, and just like put it right away. But it ended up getting like obviously on my hands and stuff, and gasoline's nice in doses. Yeah. But when you're sitting with it like in the car for a while, it's not so nice.
It'll get you. Yeah, one time I was like filling up, and for some reason I didn't stay near the pump. I was like on the other side of my car, and then all of a sudden this dude like ran over to my car and like turned off the pump. And I look over at him, and he's like, dude, it was spilling everywhere. And I look over at my car, like, I don't know how this happened, because like the pump stops when your tank is full. I guess it didn't stop, and it was like getting out of it.
Oh no!
So I probably wasted at least like $6 of gas.
I have a question.
All right.
Okay, so it stops when it's full. Yeah. That's with the clicker thing.
Yeah.
What if you're not doing the clicker thing
and you're
just holding it? Does it stop,
No.
or do you just have to guess?
You gotta guess.
That's scary, because sometimes, especially in LA, like they'll be broken.
Yeah, they don't have it.
And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I just have to like kind of guess how much is it. And I usually end up stopping like far before the tank is full, because I'm like, I don't think it's going to tell me. And
you should be able to just like take it out and like look in there, and like if
look in there.
Yeah, you can look into your gas tank. Like you can't see all of it, but like you'll certainly be able to tell if it's like filled to the brim, or if you can essentially if you can see it, it's probably time to stop.
I had a silly moment the other day. So
silly.
I just got a new car fairly recently after having an old Subaru that I had for 11 years.
Bedazzled.
Friends. Bedazzled. It was bedazzled.
Yeah.
And I got a new nice car. She's a Mercedes. And I was at the gas station, and this is how it's like new to me, and I'm still learning the features. I was at the gas station, and one thing, like as a woman, not even as a woman, actually, just as somebody that's like paranoid of everything ever.
Okay.
As
you
soon
lost
as
me,
I,
and then you got me right back. As a woman, I'm out of here. As someone that's paranoid,
you
got me right back in.
As soon as I step out of my car to pump gas, I lock my car right away. I just out of thinking like somebody might just decide to pop into my passenger seat like while I'm pumping gas. I don't know.
Yeah.
and I locked my car. Well, it turns out on this new car, because I'm like going to open the thing. It's like a push thing, right? I'm going to, and it's not opening. And I'm like, what's going on? And the dude that works at the gas station was like, you need to unlock your car. I was like, what do you mean I need to unlock my car? Apparently, yeah, you have to have it unlocked in order for which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That way people are not just like randomly going and open up your thing if your car is locked.
Yeah.
But I had to have like the random dude that worked at the gas station teach me something.
It's a good thing he knew.
Well, yeah, right. I was like not trying to like pry it open, but you know, I did not understand why it was not opening up.
Yeah. It's always embarrassing when you like have this thing and a complete stranger's like, here's what you need to be doing. And you're like, oh. Yeah.
I was thinking he's probably like, oh, she's renting that shit.
Where do you think the worst places to find love are? Because a gas station's got to be way up there.
I wonder if anybody has ever found love at a gas station.
Certainly.
You think?
There's so many people in this world, especially back in the day when, like maybe back in the 20s and 30s when going to a gas station was like, not everybody had cars and stuff. So it's like everybody was nicer because of racism, I feel like. Not in that everybody was nicer, but it's like I feel like back in the 20s and 30s, like things were more polite because people didn't call out your like racist behavior.
Interesting.
So it was like things seemed more polite than they actually were. So maybe somebody went up to somebody.
Politeness.
Yeah, maybe somebody went up to somebody at a gas station instead of being like, "Stay away from me, you creep." They were like, "Oh yeah, we can go on a date." It's like the meme of where it's like you're hearing grandma's story and it's like, yeah, your grandfather used to follow me from home every single day and he wouldn't take no for an answer and he was pounding on my door every hour of every day.
And eventually I just caved in.
Yeah, grandmother, I think you were groomed. I was 12 and he was 36. But he had a good job and my father said he was a stand-up guy because he knew him from somewhere.
So true. Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry. I'm kind of all over the place.
Did you lose the pillow?
Yeah. I realized there's caffeine in mint tea. That's why I was like, why am I like saying weird thing about stamps?
On spearmint tea.
I'm in my like streamer improv mentality.
It's good. You're giving me secondhand caffeination because I haven't caffeinated for the second time today. Thank you. Waft it over here. Thank you.
All right. Somebody at home is laughing, so that's all
hopefully
that matters, right?
That's our intention.
I put that way up on the list. Could have a broken bone, but as long as you're laughing, it was worth it.
So yeah, I don't think I've ever interacted with a normal person at a gas station. Like I've only interacted with people that should be wearing grippy socks.
Yeah, one time, this was kind of recent. I think it was after I had like come to check on your cats, and I stopped at a gas station not too far from here, and I immediately was like, "This is not where I should be."
Yeah,
but I'm filling up gas, and then I see this like a homeless person come out of the gas station with like a whole box of like Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah,
like the king size ones, like one of the big box. And so security, for once. Usually I feel like security in these situations are just like useless, but they're like trying to get this back and the person just starts yelling and I'm filling up gas and I'm like watching this. And then it's like the employee is like trying to attack this homeless person to get the chocolate back and the security is like grabbing them. And then I'm like, there's gotta be a better way, guys. Like clearly this person like needs food or something. So I walk up to them. I'm like, hey guys, like I'll just pay for the candy. Like if that will de-escalate this situation and like no one will get hurt or whatever, like I'll just pay for it. Apparently the employee, she's like, it's too expensive. I'm like, lady, it's just a couple candy bars. Like, what are you trying to say, And then this homeless person, I got like a better look at him and it was this like, it was this like older gentleman, but this gentleman had breasts. And they were like clearly on something. And so I don't know why, but the security guard turns to me and he's like, why are you going to buy him candy? He's got fake boobs. And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? I don't understand. And I just felt so embarrassed. It's like when you tried to like do something good and it just wound up making everything more like, like ambiguous. And so you're right. I have never really interacted with anyone normal at gas stations, only homeless drug people. I can only
imagine being somebody who works at a gas station. Like you have to have certain level of something to be able to deal with people at a gas station.
A company's property. Like if I'm working at somewhere and someone's like, I'm taking everything or else, I'm like, all right,
have fun.
You need a bag?
You need a bag.
Like I'm not trying to die here. So I was like looking at that lady and I'm like, are you an owner or like what's going on here? Like, and if you are, why are you working?
Yeah.
So
what is
other terrible places to find love?
Oh.
Or whatever you were going to say.
No, that's I was going to lead it in a whole different direction.
No, do it.
Other terrible places to find love. I don't.
Funerals. Or maybe that's a good place.
I would.
Somebody's single there.
Yeah. I feel like weddings is also almost in the same ballpark because
everyone's looking
the emotions that you're feeling on a funeral day and on a wedding day are misleading.
Oh, yeah.
And will lead you to thinking you might be into something that...
Has this happened to you?
No, it sounds personal, doesn't it?
It does. If you're at a funeral and he comes up to you, it's not real.
Don't do it.
You're have trauma bonded. Yeah, you're just sad.
And looking for comfort.
What are some things, and if you don't want to answer, that's okay, but do you have any like deep regrets or even small regrets that you did something after like acting from like an emotional place and then afterwards you were like, that's not me? It could even just like be purchases or whatever.
Oh, well, I mean.
I was sad that a boy broke up with me, so I bought a house. I mean, that's just a smart financial decision.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of emotional purchasing. Yeah. But I wouldn't say I regret any of it. I just maybe wish I also emotionally bought stocks.
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah.
That would have been nice too.
Yeah.
But as far as what's interesting is I feel like anytime I in the moment felt regret for saying something out of emotion, I later learned that person was actually just like invalidating my experience, and that's why I was beating myself up for handling things in a very normal
Did you handle
way.
things wrong, or did someone put you in a situation where you were not able to like give it your best?
And you like reacted normally out of that, and then they were
Sorry,
like,
I called you a bad name,
crazy.
but you stole my car. You know, that kind of thing,
Yeah, so.
Sorry, I missed your birthday, but you didn't fill up my car with gas after you used it, you know.
Right. What about you? Regrets?
This is way back, but I had like a girl in high school that I dated that I was like so in love with.
Yeah.
And they cheated on me, which like looking back, I'm like, what does that even mean? But I was so mad that I like went to my yearbook and like totally like defaced their photo and like wrote a bunch of stuff. And pretty much immediately afterwards, I was like, this was stupid. So I cut it out of the yearbook because I was like, I don't want my yearbook to be like marred with, again, I was like 16, 17, but I didn't want it to have all of this like scribbling and doodling and whatever. So I just cut it out and I totally forgot about it. And I was like going through my yearbook like a bit ago and it's just missing this whole chunk. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have just left it alone.
That is so interesting. That reminds me of something that had completely left my memory.
Unlocked a memory for you?
Yes.
Tell us this new memory.
When I was in, I don't know if it was middle school or high school. This is how you know how deeply insecure I was. I Sharpied out my own yearbook photo in some of the yearbooks that I had. I don't remember what years it was specifically, but I do recall doing that at some point. I don't even have them anymore.
I regret my senior photo and quote. I remember because it was like they forced you to go to this like guy, you know, like you all have to go to the same photographer.
Yeah.
And it's one of those like strip mall guys, whatever. And it was so awkward.
Yeah.
And like I have now realized I am just very sensitive to like light. So like I can't keep my eyes open like in the sun. Like, do you remember when we went to that influencer weed party that you brought us to? It was like up in the hills. There was like that pool and stuff. Yeah. And then we made that TikTok together where it was like, oh, introverts wanted to leave, whatever. I look back, I'm like, I couldn't keep my fucking eyes open because it's so goddamn bright. So all my photos, I'm like, And I felt so awkward, so all my smiles are bad. So I could only choose a photo where I just happen to not be smiling because it looked normal. But it just looks like I'm trying so hard to smolder. And I couldn't think of a quote. I ran out of time. So I was trying to just think of something with destiny or fate or something like that. So I think I literally wrote just something like there's no destiny, nothing's written in stone, go for it, it's all ours for the taking, the most. You gotta remember, I graduated high school in 2012, just the most that.
Oh yeah.
And I just look back on it now, and it's just me, 17-year-old buzzed head, just looking at the cameras, and then underneath it's there is no destiny.
So
it's all nothing's written in stone. Shoot your dreams in the stars.
So moody.
And I'm just I was a very moody teen.
Yeah.
I was look at me and I'll kill myself. That's how moody I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you a moody teen?
I was. I think I was just and I still am sensitive, but now I know how to
You're so sensitive.
Don't do me so sensitive.
Yeah. Time in my life where someone's you're so sensitive. Be how could you say that? It's just perfect. And now that it's a joke, that you can't not do it.
Yeah.
For the rest of your lives. Everyone listening, if anyone goes are you sensitive? You're going to be what do you mean by that? It's always going to laugh. Sorry, please continue.
No, but yeah, I think I've always been very sensitive, but now I just have emotional maturity, which is then I did not. So everything was just taken very personally.
Totally. I remember so many screaming matches with my mom, which looking back, props to my mom for allowing their child to debate with them so passionately when they're really just hormonal. Yeah. I remember just being so upset and just threatening the most ridiculous things. One time I was just well, what if I just run away and join the military and you'll never hear from me again? And just looking back, I'm just I wish future me could just go back and just grab teenage me and just.
Is there one thing when you moved out of living with your family that you felt you either missed or right away you were oh, this is something I was not kind of conscious of me experiencing and appreciating while I was there until I left.
feel the very common answer is adulting, having to cook for yourself and clean and do all that stuff. And we were pretty active. Our parents would give us chores and stuff and that. So I wasn't incompetent. I feel especially a lot of other guys they go off for a loan. They're I don't know how to clean a toilet. Yeah. And I'm well, no, my parents made me clean bathrooms and pick up after the dog and cook meals and stuff. So I had those skills, but just especially once I started working in school, going to school all day and then working and then coming back and being oh, there's no leftovers, or when I was working in San Francisco, oh yeah, this is now I don't have a car, so my Saturday is going to be spent busing to get groceries and then going to the laundromat and doing all that stuff, and just so I feel that was the biggest one.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think just my mom's cooking.
Oh yeah.
I think I moderately appreciated it when I was living there, but not nearly to the degree that I used
to complain about a home-cooked meal because I wanted some bullshit fast food, and now I'm just dude, please, someone make me meatloaf.
Please, somebody cook for me,
please. Oh my God, roasted veggies. But then back then I'm oh my God, we're having crock pot again, and I'm just yeah, because they fucking worked all day, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
You stupid kid.
What is one realization you had that something your mom may have told you when you were a kid and you were I don't get it, but then now as an adult you're oh, I get why mom asked me to do that. And I'll give you an example.
Okay.
When we would have company over, I feel moms always want your room clean too, even if nobody's going to be entering all the random bedrooms, but everything in the house has to be clean. I understand that now. I'm when I clean, every room gets cleaned.
You don't want one thing not clean.
Right. So like even you coming over for the podcast, I was like, the deep crevices of my closet, my bedroom are also going to be clean, even though Zach literally never even looks in there.
I mean, I'm looking. That's the first thing I do when I get into something. I'm like, how clean are your baseboards?
Okay, please don't look at the baseboards.
Actually, when I watch Dorothy's cats when she's out of town, I pulled your fridge out just to see what you got underneath there.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of mice.
Yeah,
but
I'm not weird. Like I don't go through any drawers or anything. It's clearly just like a cleanliness thing.
That's not weird.
It's not
the drawers is your limit.
I don't go through. I don't go through your belongings. I just judge how clean you are.
Oh, I see.
So like I wouldn't go through like your suitcases and your clothing drawers.
Not
but
creepy,
I will
just
check your
judgmental.
Dishwasher filter.
I
I know.
That's not on me. I live in an apartment. That's somebody else's responsibility.
No, you have a dishwasher, don't you?
I do.
Right over there.
Yeah.
There's a filter in there.
I don't know about that.
We could go do it right now.
I've never heard of that in my life.
You, sir, are a liar. Are your pants on fire? Because you're lying.
One thing about, like, even when I have the grazing thought of owning a house, I'm like, when I just think about managing
the maintenance, the
upkeep. Oh my gosh.
The worst.
I mean, they're just.
Yeah. Well, maybe if your life goes that way and maybe you'll have a handy partner.
Oh, well. I thought you were going to say just like a handyman on deck.
Yeah. No, why pay for a service when you can find a partner who can do it for free?
Well.
That's why I only date dentists. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any iconic quotes that you come back to or pop up in your head?
Quotes?
Yeah, just anything. Could be from anything. Even yourself, I guess. Did you do that one time? Was that you or was it somebody else? Like somebody quoted something and they were actually like quoting themselves? I don't think that was
That's crazy, but no, I don't.
Maybe it was from a show.
I don't think so. No. The only thing I ever think about is like the only like quote is just my mom always used to say everything happens for a reason to me all the time growing up. And I think that's just like drilled into my well-being now. So I always just think that at every moment of every day. Yeah.
All right.
But
that's a good one.
Yeah.
My mom, a very similar one. And it was like, it's a life lesson. Like anytime we were complaining about anything, it's a life lesson. Is it, Mom? Is it really?
Everything's a lesson.
Yeah, everything's a lesson. Or everything, it'll work out the way it's supposed to.
Exactly.
It's like
it's all happening.
Invalidating thing to hear when you're like struggling and you like finally open up to someone to get advice and like everything happens for a reason. Or it's like it'll all work out. And it's like, no, I know that because the other option is I kill myself. You know, like that's what I never understood. Like, of course it's going to work out the way it's supposed to because there's only one way it can go. You either keep living and things happen the way that they're supposed to happen or you die. So I never really understood that one. We should title. We're gonna have to title this podcast or this episode
Unhinged.
Unhinged. Like, caffeinated Zach makes an appearance. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
Well, we have reached our wisdom hour.
Yeah.
Should we share? Do you have any other last notes you'd like to?
I feel like I dropped.
You really want to get off your chest.
I dropped so much wisdom this episode.
So much we learned about you today.
I have one last question.
Sure.
I actually have we could save it though. I have a couple of different questions. We could save it unless you want it.
Go ahead, drop one of them.
What's one thing you can't live without, and you can't say your cats or your phone?
I don't care about the phone.
Whoa.
My cats was.
Whoa, hot take. Hot take. Mine is phone. Phone and cat right there with each other.
Cats was my immediate answer.
Yeah. Not including cats.
I can't live without.
Yeah, like one thing, like for me, phone. I mean, that's why I excluded it. Like if I didn't have a phone, like I feel like I'd still get by, but like I feel like I'd be more anxious or I feel like I'd be missing out. Like, and I carry it with me everywhere, you know, like I'm attached to it.
I mean, I feel like it's just. Well, it's a tricky question, really, because I live on the other side of the country from my family. So I would say like my family, but really if I didn't have like a ways of communicating with them.
Yeah. But do you have like a nonsensical hobby?
Oh, right. You said no cats, so
yeah, no
family. I'm sure.
Like I'm a big sparkling water guy, so like my Soda Stream or something like that. Do you have something like that, like something you just like really enjoy?
Matcha.
Matcha, okay.
I've had a caffeine addiction for a long time.
If we get rid of matcha,
I will be very sad.
You'd end things.
I
can't live without.
Oh, quite lit. I thought we were. So if you didn't have sparkling water, you would perish?
Maybe. No. That's why.
Okay, I thought we were just exaggerating.
Yeah, I mean, sure. But I want it to be at that level with the exaggeration.
I don't think there's anything.
Nothing?
No, it would only just be like my cats are my family.
Okay.
But even then, I would probably just keep on living, but be very, very sad.
Okay. That's fair. That's all right.
Yeah.
I think that's good. You've done a good job of I'm a very detached person from that stuff. I feel like you. Yeah. I mean, maybe this is wrong, and you can just correct me. But I feel like at previous points of your life, you've had very strong attachments to different things, and I feel like you didn't want that, so you got rid of those.
Yeah.
Whether it's wow or.
Yeah, I pretty much had all of the attachments / addictions or bad habits I've had in my life of things I really felt like I couldn't let go of. They're all gone now.
Damn.
So at this point,
that's why you're successful.
Try and come at me.
Nice. I feel like mine would be my computer. If I know, or the internet. If I woke up tomorrow and they were like, hey, no more internet, no more computer. And if it was for everyone in the whole world, I'd be okay. But if it was just me, I'm gone.
Really?
I'm ending things.
Why? FOMO?
No, just the fact that I just would no longer have access to this thing that in my opinion, elevates our entire existence. Communication, internet, games. I work on it too. So if I suddenly had to just go back to a pre-internet existence and everyone else still got to do it, I'd be gone. But if we woke up tomorrow and they were like, hey, aliens came and turns out that they eat internet signals, so there's no more internet, all your devices are basically 2008 iPod touches now,
Yeah, I mean, work-wise, I definitely need it, but I feel like if I just suddenly...
We all had to go back to fax machines.
Besides my work, if I just didn't have access to it, I'd be probably really happy.
Do you think you would be happy in a previous time period? I feel like people tend to romanticize them, but it's the past kind of sucked.
If it's me now with the knowledge I have now, I would murder men for fun, probably.
Still can. The only thing stopping you is the law. And you know what? You heard it here first, folks. You are above the law. Yeah, I jaywalk all the time. I'm still here. You can easily break the law. It is just an idea.
If I was in the time frame before DNA.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was back when people had hunches.
Getting, couldn't open their own bank account.
Yeah.
I would probably be a serial killer.
There was. I feel like I saw a joke about that where it was it was so much easier to get away with stuff before they had DNA and tracing, and it was this guy was pretending to be a cop, and he's he just got to the crime scene. He's there's all this blood on the ground. Clean it up. I've got a hunch to follow. It's yeah. What if a way easier?
Hi, kitty cat.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wisdom.
Yeah. Do you have wisdom for the people?
You go first.
I go first. So I feel like what's been more on my mind this week for taking care of yourself is... I know you hear a lot of things on the internet about doing the most basic things for your happiness, like getting the sunlight and journaling out your thoughts and being around friends and taking a breather and getting out in nature and walking. And this is just my reminder to you that there's a reason why it's stereotypical. Yeah. And those things literally work. Like if 100%. You just get outside in the sun and you hydrate your body and you spend time with some friends.
You sleep.
And you sleep good and you do those things. Like it is actually amazing how much it can do for your well-being. Because I definitely had a period where I felt like I was in kind of a rut and I felt like I just wanted to sleep all day and not do anything and just very meh. And when you're in that place, like all you want to do is just add fuel to the fire. Like you want to just like literally rot in bed and scroll on your phone, and you don't want to get out of bed. You want to just like do, and you want to just
negativity
isolate yourself and not talk to anybody and do all the things that make it worse. Because you're just soaking kind of in that feeling. Yeah. And I just encourage you, like those very basic things will make you feel drastically better. Like even just going for like a little walk out in the sun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Hi, son.
That's good advice.
You wanna come out?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's like those things are like time old tales for a reason. And it's like, I think we've talked about that on the podcast before. And like, I'm a big proponent, like with my own like anxiety and mental health, of like, as best you can, like exercising regularly. Like it's one of the few things, even above like meds and stuff, that like helps me regulate like my own like internal like emotional well-being and stuff. And like just finding a way that works for you. Like it doesn't have to be fancy. Like, you know, it literally can just be like in your own room. Yep. You know, just 10 minutes of stretching, getting the blood moving. Yep. Mine is, you know, I feel like we see this quote all the time where it's like, hey, quit being so hard on yourself. Like, there was a version of you that wanted to be exactly where you are now. Like younger you is so happy to be where you are now. And again, that one's like so cliche and stuff, but I've been thinking a lot about that one. I'm like, oh yeah, like there was a time where I wanted nothing more than to like be an actor in Hollywood and like be self-sufficient and like, you know, we're not where we want to be or like whatever. And it doesn't have to be applied just to professionally. Like that's just an example that works for me. But, you know, just cutting yourself some slack and being like, oh, like, yeah, you might not be where you want to be, and things are not always pretty and great and sun shining, but there was probably a version of yourself that wanted to be exactly where you are now.
Little you would probably be so proud of who you are now.
And if they wouldn't be, you know, you know, just use that as like an emotional indicator. It's like, what's that other one where it's like, if you're like in a situation you want to be in, it's like, hey, like if your mother were here right now, would they be happy with the things you're saying or the decisions you're making or the people you're around with? And if the answer is no, like maybe you got to do something. Or maybe your mother's a narcissistic B word and F them. You look great. Keep on going. Never stop. Don't look behind you. Just keep going. Break all the rear view mirrors. Never stop.
Do you ever feel like as a content creator, especially I feel like with the age of TikTok, you have to address, like there's always somebody else that has to be addressed or some other situation that has to be addressed. So,
petting a cat down here, by the way.
Yeah, there is a cat.
Yeah.
Cat.
Just
reach over and pet my lap.
While you're talking, like just like ruffle up your lap, like, oh yeah, you like that, don't you? Sorry. Keep going.
As somebody, especially since I'm kind of dabble in the self-development space, I do feel like there's always an angle I'm not hitting when I'm talking about something. So it just reminds me of like when you were saying like, oh, like if your mother, but there's always like the person out there who has a fucking terrible relationship with their mother and she's a piece of shit. And like this doesn't apply to her at all. And I think about that all the time too when I'm making content and I'm like, you know, think about this. But I'm like, there's also like plenty of people. And I guess it's just knowing too that you know, not everything's going to resonate. You can't literally resonate for everyone, but
it has value for us to just have a thesis. And then like, you know, I think about that a lot too, especially with social media, because it's so common for someone to take something and then pull it out of context. Yeah. And it spreads like wildfire. Yeah. And I have that example I think I've told about here where I had something go viral. It was like a love at first sight, and then someone duetted it and changed the context to where I was like making them uncomfortable, which was totally fine. Like that's an okay interpretation. But then because of that, the comment section like took it upon themselves to start like attacking me personally and stuff. And then it's like, well, yeah, like you you can't control like what other people's like perception is of things, and at a certain point we're not responsible for it.
Yeah.
But we as like, you know, responsible content creators like want to be as inclusive as possible and want to be thinking of the other side where it's like, yeah, so maybe actually your mom does suck. So if your mom disapproves of what you're doing right now and she's an evil person, then that's
keep it up.
Not for you. You know?
Yeah.
Spit on her grave, whatever it takes.
Yeah, I feel like
there's some bad moms out there.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's definitely been a rise of like, for example, like let's say somebody makes a video and they're like, oh yeah, these rings are amazing. You should really get these rings. Yeah. They're so beautiful. And then somebody comments like, what if I don't have hands?
They're like, well, then these rings are not for you.
Maybe this video just isn't for you, honey. Just keep scrolling. I see so much of that.
That's like the
TikTok
downside of the internet is like everyone feels entitled now to like take things personally. Be included. And it's like whatever. Nobody made you like I didn't come knocking on your door and say buy rings or you're bad. And they're like, I don't have hands, you know? So it's like you came here. And I remember one time I had some TikToks and like, you know, I try to like personify things that are like important to me or things that I've addressed with or whatever. And somehow it was like a trend of like, I think it was like unpacking things that maybe you adopted as a child that were like problematic or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so from my perspective, I took the spin on it was like, when we diminish like inappropriate behavior that happened towards men, like sexually or whatever. So it was like the story was like, oh my God, like yeah, I didn't really want to hook up with her, but like she really was down, and so like it's all right. Like and then all the guys are like, you're so freaking lucky, dude. She's so hot. And then it was just kind of like, hey, like nobody should be able to like just because they're attractive, they should be able to like cross your boundaries and stuff. Yeah. And, like, it was pretty well received. But there was a subset of people, primarily women, that were like, yeah, well, it happens to women, like, so much more. And I'm like, yeah, totally. Like, yeah, but, like, remember, like, this is my page. Yeah. And I'm a guy. Yeah. So I'm talking about my experience. Yeah. Me creating space for myself is not taking space away from you. Yeah. You're welcome to make your own page and do it. But I feel like that's, like, kind of...
Yeah, the what about me?
I don't have hands, and you're selling rings on your profile.
How dare you?
You should be ashamed for making a profile and posting, and I saw it. So comment below if you're upset about anything that happened in this podcast and how it wasn't absolutely 100% targeted to you, even though I don't know your name or what you look like or where you're from. But it's my problem now, and I know it is.
Are we becoming problematic on our sixth episode?
I shouldn't have had the caffeine. I came in here with weird energy.
You've been having the spearmint tea, though, every time.
Yeah, and I was all right. But I haven't really eaten today.
Caffeine on an empty stomach,
I did that thing where I didn't eat, and then I realized I had to come over here. So I ate. I had like a fourth of a French loaf left of bread.
Okay.
So I carved up.
But
I promise I'm going to go eat a healthy, well-rounded meal.
That's right. Yes, you are.
I've got some almonds in the car.
not being an almond king.
What does it mean when they say like almond dad?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So
aside from, is it like a health nut?
Yeah. Well, okay. So there's versions.
It's different than a granola person, right?
Right. So when people think like almond mom, almond dad, it's more just like
a Berkeley.
Oh, honey, like it's more like literal, like a parent that is nitpicking your every food choice to the point where like, oh, honey, you should not, like you've had enough dessert.
I thought an almond dad was like a rich Patagonian wearer, healthy guy.
That's more granola dad, I think.
I thought granola dad was like crunchy hippie rock climber living out of a van.
I think there's two layers of granola.
Okay, yeah.
There's like what you would envision as like RV granola, and then there's like suburbs.
Got it. Granola. Yeah, suburb granola is like we don't have we make our own fruit snacks. And we don't have like sugary cereal. It's just like oatmeal.
Yeah, I consider that to be more.
And they wear
dad.
vests.
Right. Yeah.
And they live in Berkeley.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Berkeley stereotypes?
To a degree.
Okay, got it.
To a degree.
Because I lived in the Bay Area, there's a few stereotypes that just resonate so deeply with me.
Yeah.
And I forget that they're not like ubiquitous across the country. Because it's like it's so specific to be like, oh yeah, you're like a Berkeley parent. You know, like they set up like a soda tax and like they make lots of money and they wear like Patagonia, but then they go like glamping and they like Instacart stuff and like you know.
Interesting. Yeah, I would consider that more of a granola.
Okay.
Than an almond, because everybody
so
like
almond's bad. It's never good because parts of that granola is like, you know, they want to be healthy and they want you to succeed. So
from what I've seen more almond mom. I've never really seen it discussed with like almond dad. I think it's more common with like almond moms that are like meticulous about their daughters, not like, you know.
How do you feel about like parents that are like view their children like in a competitive light?
Terrible.
What's up with that? Why are they like this?
Yeah, I know. Or
it's
like,
a real question. Why are they like that?
I know. Or like wanting your child to be what you weren't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like wanting them to then fulfill whatever you felt like you didn't.
You know what I have been meaning to go watch, and it kind of reminds me of like the parents and stuff, because it's so common in like the acting industry, like parents that are living vicariously or parents that like will forego the protection of their child for like a potential whatever.
Yeah.
And so there's this whole like, I don't know, is it a documentary or like an expose on Brian Peck or whatever, and like Drake Bell has come out. He's like the Nickelodeon producer or whatever. And there's like that whole segment with like Drake Bell talking about it. Have you seen anything about this? Well, I've been meaning to watch that, but I feel like that there's going to be more and more of that as parents. Like this guy was like driving to his house and like having him stay over at his house to take him to auditions and stuff. And it's like, why have kids if you are going to be mean to them?
It's like the age-old question. Why do 99% of people have children?
Because we tell them they're supposed to. Do you want kids?
I don't know.
TBD?
I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe.
Sometimes I think I do, and then sometimes I'm like, I
just
don't
get
have
more
the mental capacity for that. Yeah. I love the idea of just being like the wealthy, successful auntie that spoils the hell out of like my nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
And they can stay with me as long as they want, but then I give them back.
Yeah.
At the end.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think for me, like, the only way I see myself being a mother is if I know I am, like, set financially.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking, like, like, I could have as many nannies, nurses, this and that. I don't think I would do it besides that, because I don't think mentally I would, yeah.
No. And I think that already... I think having that conversation with yourself already puts you ahead, I think, of most parents. So I think no matter what you decide, the children in your life, whether they're yours or just familial, will reap the benefits from that emotional maturity.
What about you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think ever since I was a little boy, like I wanted to like have a family and that kind of stuff. And then eventually I was like, oh, I want to be an actor. So those are like the two things that I've been trying to do my whole life. Well, not trying to do, but like was hoping would. I've been trying to start a family.
Trying to have babies.
I've been going out and you know just being like, hey, want some babies? And you know it doesn't work out very well.
How strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if you get to a certain point in your career, that'll change. I think if you get famous enough and people like you, you can just walk outside and say, hey, you want to start a family? And I think you'll have a higher likelihood of people saying yes, as opposed to when you're just a regular person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, my dad says I think he said if you make it to 42, this is so my dad. He said if you make it to 42, you won't want kids anymore.
Oh.
So I kind of have that in the back of my mind. I'm like, well, if it doesn't happen, because he says all that like pressure, because you know how, maybe you don't feel this way, but like I feel a lot of pressure. And like I know a lot of women feel this too, like in terms of like cultural and like biological pressures to like start a family and stuff. So I feel some of that in my own way. So it's nice to know that eventually that goes away. He said like this pressure to like settle down and have all your stuff figured out and start a family. He's like, it'll go away. So I'd like to, but if it doesn't happen, I want them in like a series of events. Like I would like kids, but in order to to have kids, I need a wife. You don't need to. This is Zach's mental picture. Don't come for me, guys. But in order to have kids, in Zach's mind, he needs a wife. And in order to have a wife in Zach's mind, he's got to fall in love. And in order to fall in love in Zach's mind, he's got to be mentally healthy. So we're kind of still at the top of the list.
Baby steps. Yeah.
And I'm going to be 30. So according to America, I should already be way further down in that list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, any last notes?
Nope. I mean, I feel like we could just keep going, so we better cut ourselves off before we keep doing that.
Well, this was fun, friends.
Did you ever have any imaginary friends?
Oh, you kidding me?
You did?
Yeah.
Do you still?
Not like.
Are they here with us right now?
Actually, Jared's in the back right now.
Wow, where'd that name come from?
I don't know. That just came to me. Maybe.
Was Jared a friend of yours?
No.
You ever known a Jared?
Really, like,
okay.
Not off the top of my head. It's
right. Could have been any name, any gender.
Maybe there is a Jared in the room with us. It's just not one I was aware of.
I gotta go. So you had a lot of imaginary friends?
Yeah, I mean, well, I feel like I would think every kid did this, but like I wouldn't say imaginary friends. Like it didn't have like there wasn't a name. Like me playing with Emily. Okay. But it was more so just like Emily. I've known many Emily, so that's actually more accurate.
Have any of them been good to you?
At times.
So for the most part, Emily is more of a net negative experience.
No. There's been balanced. So there's been like a negative and there's been a really positive, and I would say they balance.
What names have been just not good to you?
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't even want to say that.
Yeah, okay. You don't have to say it.
There is one in particular, though, that I had a very negative experience with a man that I dated with this name. And then I dated a man later on with a variation of the same exact
start with
name.
a T?
T.
Never mind.
You've ever known me to date somebody with a name starting with T?
Didn't you? Back in the day?
T?
T, yeah.
Am I forgetting about
somebody?
A
Tony, a Thomas, a Tommy, a Theodore, a Teddy, a Travis, a Trent.
Never a T, actually. I don't think I've ever dated somebody with the name
dated a Tony?
T. No. But I've mentioned like the name Tony and like my mechanic's name is Tony.
Tony. Yeah, it's just the most Italian name.
It is.
One time we had a sub in school, and he must not have known I was Italian because I feel like he would have been all right with it. But he was like saying his name and whatever, and he's like, yeah, so my name's Anthony, and I went, hey, can we call you Tony? And as soon as I said it, he just looked at me, stopped talking. He's like, come up here. And then like reprimanded me in front of the whole class. And like looking back, I'm like, it's not the best joke. But also, like, I'm Italian, so if anyone can do Italian face,
I would have definitely laughed at that.
You can't do Italian face. We can.
Right.
Yeah. You would have laughed at it? Yeah.
I definitely would have laughed at that joke.
I mean, I was like 15, and it's just my personality. Clearly, I haven't gotten rid of it in this podcast. Like, I'll speak first and think about it later.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer, as someone that considers himself funny, and people on the internet have told me, so it's pretty much real.
It's the internet people have said
it's solidified as a funny man.
Yes.
And people are always like, wow, like, how do you be funny? And I'm like, well, first of all, it's just practice. And the second thing I tell people is nobody remembers the bad jokes. They only remember the good jokes. So if you're sitting around at a gathering and you only tell like 3 jokes, but like you really worked on them and they're good to go, like people might have a good time, but they're going to remember the guy who said like 200 jokes and like 10 of them stuck. So if you want, if being funny is important to you, if it's a skill you want to develop, just keep practicing. It was something that's always been very important to me. It is my favorite trait. Do people ever ask you like, what's your favorite thing about yourself? Or like, what's most important about yourself? For me, it's always been humor. So don't be afraid to tell bad jokes, because worst case scenario, you'll be 29 and you'll have a podcast.
So if you're not funny, just make enough jokes where the ratio.
You can still have a podcast. It could be a whole thing.
There's plenty of unfunny people with podcasts out there. That's for sure.
Have you been following anything in the news lately?
I don't watch the news.
Do you want to hear of a thing that I?
Sure.
So are you familiar with Apex Legends, the video game?
I've never played that.
Got it. Mm-hmm. So they are currently doing their like big tournament. And right now they are at what's called like their regional qualifiers. Okay. So if you win your regional qualifiers for like North America or like Asia or Latin America, you get to go to the Grand Championship, like their Super Bowl. Okay. In the middle of this, in the most popular parts of the North America, a player got hacked live by like a hacker. Oh. He had aimbot. He had like see-through hacks. He started spamming stuff in chat. So he left. He alt F4'd because he has integrity. The very next game, another guy got hacked, actually the previous champion and MVP. he kept playing. He's like, I have hacks, but I'm not going to stop playing.
Oh.
So because of this, it's like a huge security thing, and this is owned by EA, Electronic Arts, and then their anti-cheat is called Easy Anti-Cheat. Huge anti-cheat. They do most of the games. They shut down the whole tournament. They were in the middle of it. They suspended the entire thing, and they've yet to release a statement. This happened like 2 days ago.
Oh.
So this is like a global level, like cybersecurity conversation video game. Like it's unprecedented, and we're living through it right now.
Wow, some gamer tea.
Yeah, especially if you're an internet kind of connoisseur kind of person.
Internet people.
Take care of yourself, guys. Election cycle's coming up. So speaking of the news, you're going to get a lot of sensational robocalls, advertisements, whatever.
Yeah.
Just, do your best to stay grounded. I know a lot's on the line for a lot of different people. It's a very charged time, but just remember, we've had elections before. We'll have elections after this. Things don't get decided once a year, every 4 years, like it happens every single day. So if you are someone that gets stuck in the doom scrolling and that kind of thing, it's okay. Take a walk
in nature.
Dorothy says all your things will be cured if you take a walk.
Will be cured if you absorb the sun. That's how I feel, at least.
I burn.
Well,
so
maybe bring an umbrella.
Okay, but how will I absorb the sun?
No comment.
Okay. If you guys get to that point and you run into trouble, just tune in next week and we'll have it figured out.
All right.
So thanks for listening, guys.
Yes.
We love you lots.
Yes.
We went over a little bit of time.
That's fine.
But
what is time, really?
Whoa. Yeah, I mean, deers don't know the season. They just have fun. So be more like a deer. Okay, bye, guys.
Okay, bye. Please do all of the things. Leave comments for us to
Ginger Unscripted everywhere.
Questions you want asked.
Yeah.
On the YouTube, we'll answer them in the next video.
Yeah. Follow us on TikTok.
Follow us on TikTok.
Once we get to 1,000 followers, we will be able to live stream this process.
Yes.
Which I don't know if that's a good idea
Somebody, I don't know if you saw the comments. Somebody was like, can you imagine how much you guys would get sidetracked?
Oh, absolutely.
With a live stream more than you already do now.
But, are you familiar with like H3, the like podcast with like Ethan Klein and stuff? But
No.
they live stream it. And then, so I think it would just be a longer process.
Yeah.
But I think that would work out because, we wouldn't necessarily have to like have everything planned out. We could kind of use chat, then we could have like a more ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
They could give us facts, so like they could give us the names for Singles Inferno and remind us of things.
That's true.
Follow us there, and we'll try one. And if it's not good, then we'll never do it again.
Yep. All right, we love you.
Okay, bye bye.
Toodles.
Toodle-doo.
Toodles.